Jackson trying to escape and run for it, and he's got it more. Lamar Jackson down the sideline. Will they give it to him? They will. Touchdown, Baltimore.
And with 1:17 left to play on Wild Card Weekend, the Hayes in the barn.
Oh my God! I wish you guys could. I wish we had a camera in here so you could see what we're doing. We're just a bunch of clowns in here.
How much fun is that?
All right.
Goddamn phone. Immediately. This is what happens when I take a week off.
All right. Welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. My name is Jake Luke, and I'm joined by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz, who is just absolutely cooking right now. He's in the kitchen, presumably to watch the end.
Whipping chickens in the kitchen.
Yeah, he's whipping the chicken, just watching the end of the Bucks and the Brooklyn game. Bucks up 74-70 right now as we record this at 9:44 on a Thursday night. Boys back together again after a week apart for various reasons. You were, a little. I think we're both down bad right now. We got. I don't know if I would.
I'm good. I feel good. I've been working out. I just still have boogers inside of me that are not. They're here to stay.
That's been the issue for me the entire time. And like, I think I hinted at this last week when I last recorded with Voss that I hadn't so much as had the sniffles since before the pandemic started. And I'm fully vaccinated, so no COVID concerns, but I've just had this freaking, I don't know if it's a sinus thing or what, but
I think a lot of people got colds as people started to go out, like be vaccinated, go out and mingle again. And our immune systems have just been in complete hiatus this entire time. Aside from me actually getting COVID. And so I think a lot of people got sick. I've heard a lot of friends of mine have been sick, and it sounds like, at the franchise's school, a bunch of the chitlins were sick and they have to test for COVID weekly. And like none of them had that ever. There's just good old early summer sickness coming around, as if that makes sense. Usually by now, everything's good to go.
Well, yeah, I think it probably makes sense with the amount of people that you're around. I think with Memorial Day weekend, I was I was certainly around the most amount of people that I had ever been around since the pandemic had started. So I probably am suffering something due to all of that, as I'm sure you were, as I'm sure a lot of people were. And I think it's okay. Take the immune system out of the garage. Dust
I blame the cicadas.
Yeah, fuck these fucking cicadas, man. I was not in Maryland the last time they came around, so I don't have any memory of that first time, and it was a long time ago to begin with, but these things they're getting on my nerves. There's just a lot going on. We're sitting here, we both got our and I did say that our being down badness of this, the good thing to come out of it is that we both have great, just smooth midnight jazz radio voices going right now.
I see skies of blue.
I can't even. My brain is mush right now. We had Memorial Day. I had my sister's wedding reception over this past weekend, so I've been chasing after it a little bit the past couple weeks. I'm ready.
That was your sister's wedding?
Yeah. So they got married. Yeah, they got officially married like maybe half a year ago. At this point, we just did the reception down on the Eastern Shore. So fun time. Actually, a little more relaxing than I'm giving it credit for, but I'm ready this weekend to just absolutely shut my brain off and get away from work and everything else and just kind of relax. It's going to be a nice weekend in that regard, and I'm happy to be here kicking it off with you, bud.
There we go. I'm going to be going down Saturday to Harper's Ferry, take a little swim and mess around there. Buddy has a little property there on the river, and we're just gonna swim.
Take me to the river.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time.
In the water. Sounds like it's going to be a fun time. But yeah, here we are. Beginning of June. We've had our evergreen content running for a couple weeks now with Forgotten Dynasty. That is still ongoing. We did that because it's
monster episode came out Monday. That was a heathen. 217.
Yeah, that was probably going to be the longest one. I would think the ones that I've been putting the masters on the last couple weeks. Yeah, they've been probably 140 at the most. The last two putting the final touches on the remaining couple. So yeah, that might have been the biggest one, but that was a significant one as well. So check that out if you haven't already. Starting to pile it up for you to go ahead and take a listen to, but doing that because it's not typically a news-filled part of the calendar for the NFL or the Ravens, but miraculously, it has found a way to be the last couple of days, and I think we're going to be discussing that in the mailbag. But what has been your kind of reaction, however you're taking all this Ravens news in that we're inexplicably getting in the beginning of June? What's been the whole vibe been for you?
Whole vibe is just that team is, quietly at OTAs. There's not a ton going on there, and it sounds like they're all about business. I like that they've been resting guys. Don't need to get guys burnt out early on. It's been humid as all dog shit in this area. It's been raining off and on, and it was scorching last week. So glad to see guys like Hollywood and Rashad Bateman. They're like, all right, yeah, take it easy. Don't overwork yourselves. And they'll have their official mandatory OTAs next week anyway. So I'm sure they're going to dog them in those. Hopefully they're able to, knock on wood, keep staying healthy. And nothing too crazy going on. Just feels like they have a good bit of continuity. I know that it feels like they're excited to have a return to normalcy schedule-wise. And, feels like they're in a good spot overall.
Yeah, staff fully vaccinated. I'm not totally sure the status of all the players.
It's probably like, from what I've seen around most teams, it's like 60 to 80% of the players are vaccinated, and that's a pretty good cut.
Yeah, definitely. And there's been plenty of controversy surrounding some of the things. Some of the players from certain teams have had to say we don't have to get into all that. Hopefully, don't run into that with any of the Ravens, one way or the other, because honestly, it's just not in my wheelhouse to really like dog on people for that kind of stuff. But, at the same time, it's an important issue. So maybe we'll have to, but cross that bridge when and if we come to it.
I don't think the Ravens are going to be playing around with any of that. I don't think they want anybody talking any sort of nonsense.
Yeah, if a certain strength and conditioning coach has the vaccine, which it sounds like he does, then I think the rest of them are going to have to fall in line just kind of by virtue of the process of elimination, I would think.
I feels like Harbaugh, especially after – like once something scorns John Harbaugh or Steve Bisciotti, they don't allow it to again. Like it's fool me once to a max. They want everyone vaccinated. They got fucked by COVID. They had to play a Wednesday matinee game because of COVID. And that John Harbaugh just hates COVID.
Are you saying
hates COVID?
Are you saying anti-vaxxing and COVID is in John Harbaugh's doghouse?
Not anti-vaxxing. I think anti-COVID is in John Harbaugh's wheelhouse because COVID scorned him. Well,
I'm saying his doghouse. You know how a running back fumbles and then it's just gone?
Oh. Yeah, anti-vaxxers are definitely in John Harbaugh's doghouse.
Which yes. I don't know if that's a thing I would have imagined saying 2 years ago, but here we are. The world has changed.
He's an analytics guy now. He is Eric Eager.
Good for him. Well, I don't know if we need to go that far, but yeah, he could maybe fit in with the PFF guys. Put on like a flannel and some like.
He's their prince. Harbaugh is the prince of PFF analytics guys.
He's just sitting between Monson and Palazzolo and just like chopping it up on the PFF podcast. Great podcast, by the way. Have you checked that out?
I don't really listen to it. I see their tidbits and their clips and stuff. I like Steve a lot. Not a huge Sam guy, but he's he's providing content.
I don't love Sam's takes, but I think he's pretty genuine in what he says, which I appreciate.
Yeah, he's got takes. He produces content. He's consistent. I'll give him all that credit. But yeah, I like Steve. Steve has really he's funny because over the years he used to just be such a prick and very like closed off and cold and whatever. And he would like make jokes over it was probably like between 2 and 3 years ago. He used to make jokes about like, the producers tell me I've got to be got to open up a little more and I can't be such a dick. So he's like not a dick anymore, but it's still inside of him. And that's really funny to me. Like he has suppressed his inner asshole and is just like this pleasant guy now kind of. And it's really funny to me.
Well, he's like a 6'8" Italian dude. Like
he's Brad Garrett.
Yeah, you would think. Brad Garrett actually might be a good comparison because I would think that a guy like that would be a little bit more of an open book. But now that you mentioned Brad Garrett, I certainly do see how it could be the other way, unless that's just the character. But I feel like he plays all his characters like that.
He does. In the pacifier, he's a dick, Brad Garrett.
Yeah, He's
I
kind of
watched that recently.
Yeah, he's a dick on Fargo, kind of, but he's also very like quiet on that too. So he's here. We are in our Brad Garrett discussion.
Brad Garrett, baby, legend, underrated Brad Garrett.
I think he is too. He's
You know how I feel about Everybody Loves Raymond. I have a special place for it in my heart. It was my nap show in high school.
This is so stupid. I just bought the first season of that show on Amazon.
How much was it?
It was like $15. I don't know why I did this. I think I
been jonesing for some.
I was jonesing for some nostalgia. Yeah, like it was one of my shows too growing up, and I think I was so fucking bored on like a Saturday or something. Maybe a couple.
You must have been so fucking bored.
A couple glasses of wine, and I was like, dude, I'm jonesing to watch some Ray right now.
It's probably. I really haven't watched in a while. It's probably really hilarious.
It holds
this point in our lives.
Yeah, it is, and it holds up. I think it's like maybe late 90s when it starts, and like you can see there's a little bit of age to it. But like I was watching it, I was like, this is pretty good. I'm probably not going to buy the remainder of the seasons, even though I'm not going to be able to stream them on anything for the time being. But pretty good so far.
I don't know what my hair's doing right now, but I look like a fucking jagaloon.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're down bad right now.
It's down bad season. Yeah. I'm going to take a shower after this. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to spray my nose with some designer nose spray, and I'm going to be good in the morning. I can just feel it. I abused myself at the gym today.
One of your frat bros was telling me that you used to do this thing that you used to call designer nose spray in college, but I didn't know what that was all about.
That one didn't quite work.
I was I had to do some gymnastics there, but yeah. I fucking ran 3 miles today in this humidity too with my beat up lungs and immune system and everything. We're working our way back, but it's fine. We're doing okay.
We're rushing, we're dragging.
Just can't find that tempo.
We'll get it. We'll get there. We're a couple of days out.
Okay.
I also just like I'm a new man now. Like I just returned something that I bought online. Who does maybe that? For the first time in my life.
You just got to
like I've bought probably 1,000 things online in my life, and that was the first thing I've sent back.
You have to just take that L every time. It's like, fuck, I'm not going to UPS.
The amount of adapters that I have that don't work, that were like $6 for this podcast and for audio purposes, that just sit up there, that is really absurd.
Brother, I'm the producer of the show, and I can tell you a thing or two about equipment that I've purchased that has never been used for it.
Exactly.
Especially when I had literally no idea what it was doing like a year and a half ago.
Exactly. You're just like, Google search, Amazon click doesn't work. Never think about it again.
Yep. There's $12 down the drain, just like fucking Everybody Loves Raymond, except I'm getting some.
No, that's well worth it.
That's value.
That's your season.
Yeah.
That is your season.
It is. I own it now. I'm the proud owner of the first season box set of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Love it. Love it.
All right, what are we doing here?
We are we're getting into this mailbag. Let's do it. We haven't done a mailbag in a while. So without further ado, let's crank these Soldier Boys. Ben Rose is littered throughout here, just everywhere. We'll get to him.
We haven't had one in a while, so he was probably just ready to empty the clip. Just roll.
Yeah, he always unloads the fucking yappa. Yeah. First one that I want to say is Kai Bands, _, who will probably never listen to this podcast, but Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl. Go Hawks. Fuck you. No, they're not. They're not even going to get the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I'm not even offended by that. It's just like,
are they secretly the Ravens West?
They've always been. I mean, it's Pete Carroll and John Harbaugh. They're riding the same wave. It's very similar. I mean, like Russell Wilson's obviously in a class of his own as far as quarterbacks go, but
he's not in a class of his own, but like he's fucking good and cool. Mr. Unlimited.
He's literally unlimited. How could he not be in a class of his own?
That's true. He's in a class of his own, but fuck you. Seahawks aren't winning shit.
Yeah, they're probably not. I like the Seahawks for that reason. I think they've kind of modeled themselves after the Ravens and organizations like that a little bit. So I think that's kind of a cool idea that a team kind of just recently did that in the 2010s. But it's the sustainability versus going all in thing. It feels like they never really go all in.
Yeah, they traded for Jamal Adams, and they don't give a fuck about their draft picks, but at the same time somehow still don't go all in. It's very strange.
Yeah, which I would say, how do they stay competitive? But then it's like a generational quarterback, and then like obviously you see what happens when you start to piss the quarterback off a little bit. Russell Wilson talking.
They're kind of like a mirror image of the Ravens. Like like there's a little bit of wonkiness to that comparison. Like they've always had really good receivers, kind of. They don't value like RPO play action, shotgun, that kind of efficiency. They don't go for it or anything. They do run the shit out of the ball though, and they do play the hell out of some defense. Not last year, but at times, and it's just like I don't know. It's weird.
To their credit, they like spearheaded the secondary revolution with the Legion of Boom. Like it was always about like, oh, stop the run in the playoffs when you get there, and it's like, no, fuck it, we're just gonna go all in on our secondary, big corners. Earl Thomas at safety, Cam Chancellor at safety. We're just gonna have this.
Cam Chancellor may be the most underrated player in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that guy was. That guy was so sick. That hit on Demaryius Thomas, I can feel it.
Oh my God, that was he should have been Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, he really
he dominated that game. Yeah. Dominated. That was really crazy. What was it? 43-8, something like that.
Yeah. What a weird scoreline.
Moving on, Glenn _1. Which rookie will play the most? Are Darius Washington, Wade, or Stevens? That's a tough one. My gut wants to say Sean Wade, and I feel like it's wrong.
I'm going to go with Stevens because I feel like they're going to move him around a little bit. And I feel like they low-key really like Stevens.
I feel like he'll play a shitload of special team snaps, probably Wade too.
Which I guess if we're counting that, then I think it's definitely Stevens.
Probably not what the question intended, but what my nerd brain goes to.
But I mean, like that probably would help our Darius Washington a lot as well if it's included.
He's probably got to make the team. He's probably the third best safety.
So there you go.
When it's all said and done, like Geno Stone, we like Geno Stone, but I mean they fucking waived him
like a rolling stone.
Very weird situation at that like third safety in that entire depth of safety room. It's like Jordan Richards, Nigel Warrior. We'll see. We shall see. Moving on, Ryan J. Laurie. You have been sentenced to death for the crime of being too sexy for your shirt. Too sexy for your shirt. So sexy it hurts. What is your last meal if you are sentenced to death for being too sexy? This is probably like lame, but like I'm a fucking burger freak. I would want like burger, also a little bit like I would want some shrimp. I would want crab cake. I would want a little taste of everything. Like I would want like a little I would want a couple nibbles of really good lasagna. I would want I think I would want some milk too. Like I like milk.
Let's pick one thing. Let's pick one thing. Let's not we're not doing
No, I get you. No, it's random meals. There's stuff I'm leaving out. I didn't say lobster. I didn't say steak. Well, give me a nibble of steak. I want lasagna. I want lasagna, burger, some really good fries, and some milk and some other liquids, some good tasty liquids.
I want all the jumbo lump crab cake in the world, side of scallops, side of big helping of McDonald's French fries, and we're washing it down with a 60-minute. I'm gonna keep it tight. There may be better foods than that, but just off the top of my head, if I had to just pick that kind of
rattle them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there it is.
B-Rose 931, not emo yet. What trade scenarios could do for the Ravens what Khalil Mack did for the Bears defense in 2018?
So does that have to be for defense only?
I think that's what he wants. I think the people want an edge rusher and they want a dominant one, but I looked on Over the Cap, I think yesterday. There's no crazy edge rushers that are in their contract year other than TJ Watt. I think that's it kind of.
Let me ask you this question. Who are the dominant edge rushers in the league right now?
Dominant, I would go Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Zadarius Smith. Ironically enough.
Yeah, that's weird.
Nick Bosa is probably going to come back and murder. And who else we got? I mean, Shaq Barrett's been a menace. Cam Jordan has been an absolute menace for years. We'll see what Von Miller does. He kind of had a not fantastic year and then got hurt, but it feels like he might be ready to come back and do some things. Danielle Hunter had a really bad injury. Who else we got? That's Chase Young.
I think outside of Chase Young and the Bosas, it's like who are the guys that are really striking fear? And maybe this is me being a
Myles Garrett, definitely Myles Garrett.
Yeah, okay. So there's him. So there's 4.
TJ Watt.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I think the Ravens do a good job against him. He, does some things, but he fucks other teams up.
He's really good. Maybe this is just a skin color thing that I need to get past. I just kind of feel like he's just a little try-hardy.
Fucking Watt, brother.
So, yeah.
I don't think it's skin color. I think it's surname.
I'm just saying, as far as like playing style, I for whatever reason, I don't think of him as like a freak athlete as like the Bosas or like Chase Young.
He's not like that dominant physicality, but he is super high motor.
Maybe I'm just misremembering across eras, but it just feels like it's a position that for whatever reason is not as premium as it was 5 years ago.
And then of course there's Khalil Mack, DeMarcus Lawrence. Brian Burns is really fucking good, who I, was not very high on in his draft class, but he is really fucking good. We'll see what Bradley Chubb does. That's kind of it. That's kind of those guys. And out of them, like, I don't know if I guess the only one that would really smell like a possibility, and he's not a pass rusher like everyone wants, is DeMarcus Lawrence. If the Cowboys, for some reason, are to be absolute shit by the trade deadline, but he has a fat contract, but that's your free agent move, and that's where DeCosta likes to go bargain hunting. So that's the only one that smells possible to me, maybe. And I'd say it's like a 2% chance.
Von Miller next year, if they don't want to spend too much.
Von Miller also would make a lot of sense, for sure. I think the Ravens would love something they would do.
Yeah, like
it feels like, I don't know, Broncos players. Like maybe I'm just thinking of Derek Wolfe and like Shannon Sharp, and that's probably like it. Doomerville. There we go. Okay, now we're cooking with some gas. It feels like Broncos players like translate really well to Baltimore for some reason. I don't know why.
Maybe it's just
So if the Broncos suck, Von Miller. That's our prediction then. That's
I would say so. So as far as like a trade, like I don't think there's anyone that could do what Mac did for the Bears, but like just looking at the edge position, which I think is maybe the crux of the question, that's probably what I would say. Next year, free agent Von Miller.
I mean, secondary wise, they're in good shape. Like, I don't think anyone's going to come in and like
as far as like overall impact, it would have been Julio, but like that's obviously not going to happen now.
Yeah, weird trade, Julio trade, weird trade.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that is our answer to that. Adam Jones 357, 5-time Gold Glover with a sad boy question: is Hollywood Brown going to be basically a John Brown or like John Brown level receiver? Sad face question mark. Hollywood Brown finds the fucking end zone. Like, I think he is so underrated by Ravens fans and generally in the NFL. Like, he threatens defenses. Does he have a big catch radius? Is he physical? No, but he tests defenses deep. Like, he puts DBs into recovery mode, into desperation survival, backpedal transition into a sprint a lot. He finds the end zone. He, started playing really well after the catch at the end of last season, which was super encouraging. And he also brings tenacity and fire. Like, he's more of a star than John Brown, just as a personality trait, and I think that translates to the field in a way.
And as a player, like John Brown, I like a lot. He's like a stick. Like, he's just an upright runner. He's a deep threat. He gets underneath the ball, and he's pretty good around the sideline. He's
kind of a little bit like a Torrey Smith, I'd say, John Brown, like a little bit. And he probably has a more successful career in ways.
Which was kind of what I was describing there with Torrey Smith. With Hollywood Brown, you're getting body adjustments. He adjusts his torso in the middle of the air to finding track.
Very twitchy athlete.
Very twitchy. John Brown doesn't do a lot of that stuff. Hollywood Brown will catch the ball with his hands when he needs to. He has that spectacular catch Madden trait at times. He also has the converse of that, which is the spectacular drop at times.
Like his rookie year, that Steelers touchdown he caught. I mean, he fucking skied up. He took the elevator and then got rocked in his back. I think he actually got hurt from that. Yeah, got obliterated and made the play. I think he's got a nose for the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. The end zone, the complex routes that he's running against the Bengals in that second game at the end of the year last year when he's scoring touchdowns. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't understand like what the issue with him is that people have.
People are just kind of mad that he's not bigger. Like, they expect more from him, but he's just not a big dude. He's a tiny ass receiver in the NFL, and I think he still puts a lot of pressure on defenses despite. Wow, I have not been paying attention to this Bucks game. Holy shit. Zadarius Smith going crazy courtside.
Oh, is he really?
Yes.
I don't see him. That's sick.
He was just like jumping around. He has a jersey on and jeans on.
Oh, that's tight. Who is that with him?
I didn't see Aaron Jones, maybe.
Probably, yeah. That's tight.
Yeah, that's Aaron Jones.
He's just flexing the guns. Good for him, man.
I think Giannis just made some sort of defensive play and I missed it.
Yeah, they
I cowered it out of hedging. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna let it ride.
What do you do, by the way? Do you drive to PA?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta start doing that. I was just thinking that.
It's a little far for you.
It's not that bad. It's like 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
It's like 13 minutes for me. That's pretty shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's shitty.
We'll figure it. I mean, I'm up there every now and again.
It's supposed to be like, I don't understand what's taking so long with this Maryland legislation. But anyway. Oh, okay. Nothing too crazy. Okay. Anyway, all right, let's get back to it. So Lee Brick 5. How many quarterbacks, running backs, fullbacks, and tight ends do we carry? Seems like a crowded roster. The question to me there is how many quarterbacks do they carry out of all of those? Maybe tight ends too, but how many quarterbacks? And I feel like that's a tough question.
It is. I'm gonna say 2.
I think 2 as well. I think they want to load this roster out, and I'm gonna be honest. You know, we like McSorley. Obviously, we love Trace Unitas. We love, or we like Tyler Huntley in ways. But like, if Lamar goes down, they're fucked.
Yeah, it's like
so.
He can't miss any significant amount of time. If one of those two has to come in and close a game, like I can live with that. But
and I think that kind of like RG3's ineptitude kind of unraveled the perception maybe of what the Ravens thought about in their quarterback room, and you're expecting him to come in and play at like a really high backup level, and he just never really did. I don't know. Weird stuff, even when he was like at the end of games. And they're probably I feel like they might be like, all right, we'll just carry 2 and carry an extra couple special teams guys and offensive line, defensive line depth and stuff like that. Tight ends wise, I don't know. I do not know. Ben Mason is not getting cut. He was a 5th round pick. They don't do that. They're not going to cut him. So you got to assume, call him tight end 3. Ricard is not going to get cut. He's not practicing. I didn't even realize he had that hip surgery until they were like, yeah, he's recovering well. I was like, whoa. I said, he's going to be on the roster. So the question is, are they going to carry a 4th tight end, Oliver, Tomlinson, et cetera, et cetera? And I want to say no, but they're not scared to have those guys get claimed off of waivers.
Yeah. Gut tells me they're going to have 4 tight ends.
4 tight ends. Maybe that's why you don't only keep 2 quarterbacks. So we shall see. We'll get into that stuff when it is time, when the preseason's going on. Much more. KGZ25. What are the pros and cons of bringing Todd Gurley into the running back room? The pros to me are that it's like a Madden move, and you're bringing in let's go Bucks. You're bringing in someone who's been a touchdown maker, someone who's played at a high level, and all that good stuff. The cons to me are just that I have a feeling if they sign him, he's getting the ball more than we want. And that's what irritates me about it. I would rather have Justice Hill get touches. Justice Hill's been working his ass off in this system for years and flashed when he got opportunities. Todd Gurley, scored 9 touchdowns last year. Todd Gurley's still like a good goal line back, but he doesn't have a ton of juice. And I don't know, he can, maybe still make some natural catches a little bit in the passing game. He kind of reminds me of the very end of Willis McGahee's career. And I loved Willis McGahee. He was great when the Ravens brought him in, but towards the very end there, and it's just not juice. It's a fucking Madden move to me.
Yeah, when you're just kind of square peg round holing a name guy, which that might sound ridiculous on the surface, but you look back at the beginning of last year when they were square peg round holing a big name guy at the running back position inexplicably with Mark Ingram. Everybody loves Mark, and I love Todd, Baltimore guy.
You just got rid of Mark Ingram, so you're going to bring him back?
Yeah, it's just not. We don't need this. We don't. There's certain things I forgot who I said this to the other day on Twitter, but coaches, personnel people, whoever it might be, they are smarter than us. They forget more about football than we're ever going to know. But there are certain times when they just don't do the conventional wisdom thing to their detriment for whatever reason it might be, or like whatever like platitudes that they can speak to for why they would bring in a guy like Todd Gurley. There's a million fans that are screaming at them saying like, hey, no, like this guy's washed up. He's just going to be like a touch suck like Mark Ingram was last year. And it's just not going to be worth it. Like just do the common sense thing, stay away from him. For what it's worth, I think that's what this is. I think it was just a emergency list due diligence type visit. So that's my,
if someone goes down and he's still in the market, absolutely. That changes things.
That's my Todd Gurley take. It sounds like he might not be on the market for very long. With you got Detroit monitoring. I mean, I think maybe some other teams, and it sounds like
he doesn't want to practice. He has fucking arthritis in his knee. He probably doesn't even want to go. He doesn't want to go through OTAs. Probably wants to rehab and take his sweet time, and that's what you would expect. And take it easy in training camp, and see what he can do in the regular season. But that knee is just getting worse and worse. He can still I don't know. I watched like a little bit of him today. He can still make like a safety miss a little bit, in the hole and go score a touchdown and, break off a 15-yard touchdown run or whatever. But it's like, if he is getting 7 carries, I'm going to be fucking enraged because it's 7 times that Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins aren't getting the ball.
If I'm him,
if they're healthy.
If I'm him, am I not looking for a backfield that I'm going to get more touches in to begin with? Like you're talking,
there's a lot of carries that go around in Baltimore, and there is a chance. Like that's the thing. It is likely that one of Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins misses a few games. It's likely.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I know that I know he loves it here and like he's at Orioles games a lot and like he's originally from the area, but like, is that enough for you to say like, all right, I'm just going to sit behind 2 of the best running backs in the league and give up other touches to Lamar, who like,
if he wants to win.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's totally fair. If he wants to do that, like I would respect him more for that, but
sure. But he's not playing. I mean, he's not going to play special teams. And that's why I like Justice Hill so much. And someone's probably going to take them and be like, oh, well, special teams don't matter in comparison if this, and this happens. Justice Hill, I just think Justice Hill is also ready to get touches too.
He's also played well at running back.
Yes, he's played well whenever he's been given opportunities. Like Justice Hill, I want to see him get 5 touches a game. I want to see him, get 10 snaps a game, even when everyone's healthy. Like I like Justice Hill. I don't want Todd Gurley to be coming in and helicoptering, freaking stealing touches from all 3 of those young backs that are chomping at the fucking bit. That have, Gus Edwards been here for a few years. Justice Hill been here for a few years. They know the offense. They know the system. They've been training hard. The Ravens like them. They've put in the time. They've had the production, especially Gus, not as much Justice Hill, but like, I want them to get the ball.
Right. It's just, I think it's just a due diligence, emergency listing. Like I said, I assume he'll be signed somewhere else, to be quite honest. And ultimately, like, even if they do it, like if the money's not that crazy, I'm not going to freak out. Like there are going to be fans that are going to flip out and talk about, oh, if you can sign him, but you can't.
If it's like $5 million, I'll be pissed. But if it's like if it's vet minimum or like up to like $2 million, I'll be like, all right, I don't fucking give a shit.
If it's up to $2 million, I'm fine. It's not going to be $5 million. They just gave that to Gus Edwards, who is like twice what Todd Gurley is right now. So that's not going to happen. So if it's $2 million, whatever, like I know that like Voss gets concerned about like signing the depth guys and that can cost you a superstar. That might be part of it.
I mean, Shady McCoy is on the Bucks and he has his, purposes, and maybe it's for what he brings to the room.
The Chiefs signed Lev Bell last year. Like, right. Happens. Right. They don't need it. Like I'm glad they're doing their due diligence. Like I said, if he is out there, let's even say he does sign with Detroit and they're at fucking like 2-6 or whatever, halfway through the season. He's like, you know what, let go of me, whatever. I need to go somewhere else, maybe try to win a ring. Let's say Gus goes down, sign him in that.
And then you've had conversations with him already, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like he'd be keen to come here anyway. So like, just, I'm fine with doing the due diligence. We don't need to go too crazy on this.
And I'm sure you can make the argument. It's like, oh, well, he only averaged 3 whatever yards per carry last year, but the Ravens run the ball really well. So blah, blah. And that's like, yeah, like exactly. So let a fucking practice squad running back average 5 yards a carry in this offense. Like you don't need to spend money on that. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like J.K. Dobbins would be low key pissed about that.
Yeah, he would, and like, it's just one of these situations where I am not that fired up about it one way or the other, but it seems like people are, and that's just getting my blood pressure going, and I'm not happy about it.
Yes, exactly. Well said. we're not going to take any of that. That was our thoughts on Gurley. So there's a bunch of Gurley on here, but that's what we're going to do. Or that's what we're going to go with. The real Jason Wilson. What is Justin Madubuike's ceiling this year? I see it as Chris Jones light.
Saucy.
I see little kind of similarities in ways in the foot frequency and the size to Aaron Donald. He's never going to be Aaron Donald ever. But he could be a very poor man's version, and that means that he's like a Pro Bowl kind of guy, and I think that is what's going to happen. I find Justin Madubuike to be super effective against zone concepts. He has range. He can go chase down screens. He has great get-off the line, and he made Wyatt Teller look like a fool last year. Like, he has developed chops and developed lateral movement as a pass rusher. He was, generally pretty fucking good. Especially when, Calais Campbell went down and other guys went down. It was like him, Justin Ellis, and Derek Wolfe getting a ton of snaps at one point. And I think that was in that Cowboys game specifically. And then against the Browns as well. So I see his, floor as being a very, very strong rotational piece. And I see his ceiling as like kicking some guys, some veterans out of snaps. And I think that is going to happen to an extent because he is an athletic specimen. I think he has technique. He's improving against taking on double teams and all that good stuff. So I don't know. Chris Jones is a bigger dude, longer arms, bats a lot of passes, and is more of like an overwhelming strength player. And Madubuike's got some quickness to him.
Yeah, without a player comparison off the top of my head, I'm expecting like 6 to 8 sacks, which would be really good for him.
Yeah, I would think that 6 sack range would be sweet. And if he gets over 40 pressures, you're ecstatic. 6 sacks, 40 pressures. And I think that's like a more likely outcome than for him to have a really bad year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ty Giles, 410. Oh, wait, that's about Gurley. Sorry. I am Jay Richter. More likely 3 1,000-yard rushers or 2 1,000-yard receivers. Has to be 3 1,000-yard rushers.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, if you get even odds on those, if those are plus 110 and minus 105 or something, you're taking the rushers every time. Let's be honest.
Who would the 1,000? I guess it would be Andrews is kind of the only one I would look at who could go for 1,000 this year in my mind.
Yeah, and maybe Hollywood has like a very different role because of the Batemans and the Watkins of the world. Watkins, this is the one thing that's tickling me a little bit. Like Watkins. In just his basic-ass stupid routes that I've seen on Twitter and whatever, he looks fucking sharp, flattening out, running some little out routes. And he said he goes too hard in practice, and that's why he gets hurt. And I see it. He's looking like the best route runner on the field from what I've just seen on videos and whatever. But, that is to be taken with a bag of Epsom salts.
Guy gets open, man.
Yeah. Coach Davis, 4. Will the Fire make a comeback for the intros at the bank? And that goes hand in hand with, I think that's why I said what I said earlier about Harbaugh and COVID. When the Ravens get scorned or burned, by something, they don't fuck with it ever again. Like domestic violence, never again. All that kind of anything that fucks with them, never again. Fire is now in the doghouse.
Which, yeah, I mean, and that's like a league. It's turning into a league-wide thing, isn't it? Like people getting.
I think so too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So as much as I would love to see it come back, I don't think it's going to. Unfortunately,
it was so sick. They had such a good little setup.
And like always, like the pictures that Sean would get, like with the like mirage, like kind of look, the haze and the smoke, like it's sick. Like it's the best. I wish it could come back. It doesn't seem like it's going to be able to.
Right. I think the Titans had an issue with fire. They like burned the shit out of their field.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
Was like the Titans and maybe the Colts as well had some issues with their pyrotechnics. Just a couple incidents that you really can't have. You can have
the Colts ruining things for people. Who would have fucking thought?
You can have an incident with like mixing the wrong Gatorade up. You can't have an incident with the pyrotechnics department. That's kind of a
yeah.
Like that's just
there's not a big gray area in pyro.
Yeah,
as they say in the pyro biz. Jacob, for real, out of all the wide receivers on the team, who do you think will be leaving? Is it Boykin versus Prochet? I think that has to be it.
Yeah, I think talking about some Mad Max Thunderdome between those two clowns because this is it's getting to be the end of the rope for both of them. And
more like Kirby versus Jigglypuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for the end to come because like I like
my money's on Prochet. My money's on Prochet to stay.
my money's on Boykin. I like both guys. I think they're both smart, talented dudes that could have a future in this league if things break right for them. I hope it does.
Boykin would be so good in Green Bay.
Yeah, he would be sick there.
They have like Valdez Scantling and Lazard. Like that's their type.
Yeah, he's a Notre Dame guy. I feel like they love Notre Dame guys. It feels like if he catches on somewhere like there, he could have himself a little bit of a career, as could Prochet as like a rotational 4, 5, 6 receiver somewhere else as a possession guy. I like them both. It's sad it hasn't worked out quite.
I think Lamar likes Prochet, and I don't think he fucks with Boykin as a person.
I don't think he doesn't.
That's my fan take.
I don't think he doesn't fuck with them. I just think they're riding different waves. Like they like each other and all that, but it's just like they're different guys,
Yeah, I think Lamar likes Prochet. I think I think that's the kind of area where like Lamar has pull a little bit. It's like which one are you feeling it with? And it feels like Lamar's a very chemistry reliant quarterback, as Flacco was.
Yeah, he is. That's why he's spammed Hollywood to come out of the gate when those two first started hooking up together, and that's turned into a pretty fruitful relationship. So maybe he has some good tastes, and hopefully we see that with Rashad Bateman, Sammy Watkins, guys like that this year. But I think it's down to those two guys for that last receiver spot. My money is on Miles Boykin to win it, but we will see.
Jojo Schweitzer, do you think we will sign Justin Houston? I think it's kind of a camp situation. There's basically two avenues in my mind right now. I was thinking about this the last couple of days. Either they want to trade Jalen Ferguson and they're talking him up big time Vedvik style and then sign someone, or they're fine. Those are the two avenues in my mind, because Drew Wilkins was talking a ton about him. I think Wink was talking about him too, and they had kind words. And it has not been it would not be uncharacteristic over the last couple of years of the Ravens to kind of call someone out at this time of the year about, expectations or something like that. Like they usually praise, but there have been times where they've kind of said some not minced words on players and saying that they need to bring it or something, or they had higher expectations, something of the sort. So if they're talking about Ferguson and it's not a smokescreen to try and trade him, which I feel like it really isn't, then you bring in Houston, is it an improvement? Probably. But like, is that going to win you more games? I don't think so. I don't know.
Feels like a thing where if they were going to do it, they probably would have done it by now.
Like Villanueva, like they got that shit done.
Exactly. Like it was that was the exact same time frame that they were looking at too. Two similar veteran players, so they could have just done them both then. They didn't.
If they didn't draft away and it was just Hayes, like if they only came out of that draft with one edge rusher, then it would be like Alejandro Villanueva. Exactly. They didn't draft a tackle, so they signed him. So it kind of felt like it was maybe a one or the other situation in a way. Yeah,
I know he's a big name and he's out there, but it's just like, they're not going to sign everybody.
And they do DaCosta loves to make those moves at the trade deadline. So, you got a little bit of pocket change. Those guys come cheap. They're, you have to pay basically just half of their salary for the year. And that's pretty cheap. And the Ravens like to do that. So, Von Miller, maybe that's the rumor will start. I like that. That's where Jake Sabb was at earlier. I like that one. That's our rumor. That's our takeaway from this podcast. Ravens are trading for Von Miller at the deadline.
Hopefully his all the legal stuff with Von Miller is resolved.
I think it's already started to kind of be resolved, if I'm not mistaken.
I kind of didn't think of that when I threw that out there, but if it is, then
I think it's already started to clear up.
Okay.
I think it was like weird Jimmy Smith type shit.
Yes. Yeah, I get that vibe too. Clean it up a little bit, Vaughn, but at the same time, I'm not going to make any judgments, not knowing one way or the other.
Exactly. Well said. Mitch McGee, best guess on who will be tight end 3. I got a pretty tight end. Ooh.
Damn, dude.
Ben Mason. They announced him as a tight end, and he's not going to get cut, and he's not going to be like, will he play some fullback? I'm sure. But if you're looking for an answer outside of that, you got to go Josh Oliver, it feels like.
Yeah, I do. I think Mason will be 3. But just with that prediction that they'll go 2 QBs, 4 tight ends, I do think Josh Oliver got a
feels
little.
Like he gives you when you're looking at the skill sets and the body types of Ricard, Mason, Andrews, Boyle, Oliver would be,
he's the Andrews.
In the Andrews mold, in the Andrews kind of body type a little bit more so. So, God forbid Andrews misses some time. that would be an option to fill that role in ways.
Yeah, so get him nice and healthy, carry those 4 tight ends, do what your weird shit you're going to do with Ben Mason, and Josh Oliver can be a more traditional pass-catching tight end.
Eric Tomlinson had some nice blocks. He had some nice moments.
Yeah, so there you go.
Doesn't bring much, to the passing game, but he can do some stuff for you. Sir Chris F., how different will the offense look with Lamar under center and the running backs catching more passes? I want to see that happen first. It sounds good in theory, and how much more under center is the offense? Feels like Pistol's still going to be the dominant force, and they're going to be spread and under center, to mix it up. And maybe we see, if we saw 10% of snaps under center, that would be very significant. I think the Ravens threw 5 passes from under center last year, including like goal to go.
You actually had the Lamar touchdown run to ice the game against the Colts, I think out of the eye. When he did the naked boot.
It was a boot. Yep. Yeah. Down by the goal line, they start doing that. They bring it in, they put Gus in, and they start toying with those. And they did that a little bit his rookie year too, a lot of those boots.
Yeah, so maybe when the field gets a little tighter, you'll see more of that, I would think.
My question though is are they going to use it when it's, between the 20s?
Yeah, which is interesting. Maybe you could get a little more spicy with your play action doing that kind of stuff.
It sounds like they'll have some packages and they'll have some plays.
Little play action, cut the field in half, get Andrews in motion and moving out in space.
Lamar does that. I can see Lamar doing that Tebow head fake play action from under eye. Like he does that like little lean forward thing.
He did that on the Colts touchdown. He faked out pretty much faked out their entire defense, and then Andrews punked that one DB into the fucking next stratosphere. So yeah, I think he's comfortable. He did good amount of this with Petrino, didn't he?
I believe a bit. Not a ton, but a fair amount, like much more than the Ravens have done.
Right.
My biggest concern with Lamar is getting better at quarterback sneaks. He needs to.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the cards for him. I feel like that's a trait you either have or you don't.
Right. It's a very natural kind of feel, especially by this point. And it's how quickly you can just basically lunge, take the snap successfully, lunge forward. He is just too fucking risk reward with it. Like he'll dive and lose the ball, or he will run around behind the line instead of just
he never
lean forward.
Small on the field, except for when he's attempting to do that.
Very true. That's very true. He looks thin in the trunk.
Yeah, and he's just kind of he's not really committing to it. He's just kind of
he makes himself too small when he does it.
Yeah, exactly.
He makes himself small.
Right. So it's just be a little more decisive would be my advice. Yeah, but yeah, so this is me, the shithead 6'2", 190.
Yeah, but you've fucking seen 1,000 quarterbacks. It's easy to tell that he does need to be more decisive. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree, but I just think it's funny that me saying that. It's oh yeah, here's this 375-pound freak of an athlete on defensive line. Just be decisive about diving forward into that. So he absolutely has to. I just think it's kind of funny coming from me.
Of course. They just it's pisses me off when they do the quarterback powers and it worked against Seattle or whatever, but I just hate the idea of increasing the amount of distance that the ball has to go to get past a half a foot or a foot and a half or something. So come on, Lamar, you can do it. Second half of that question was about running backs catching passes. That's been an issue. Mark Ingram made some nice plays in 2019. They ran some Texas routes. He had a couple dump offs. There was one against, he had, I think, 2 touchdowns against the Texans, and I think one was on a Texas and one was on a little dump off. And then one was on the left sideline, one was on the right sideline. So he made a couple plays. I think he had one against the Rams too, another Texas route. But other than that, and people were talking about screens the other day on Twitter and stuff, and that's all good and dandy. And we've talked about the screen game ad nauseum and how we want that to be, a little bit more prevalent at times, and maybe Lamar to call some of those at the line. But it just feels like they aren't the running backs, and you just use the word decisive. They're not chipping immediately and then diving into the flat full speed and turning for the ball, and Lamar's hitting them in the hands as their head's turning back. There's not good rhythm and timing in the basic assignments of just flats, fucking running into the flat and dumping the ball off, swing passes, whatever you want to call it. That has not been a big part of it. Lamar's legs have to do with that a little bit, it feels like. Maybe some under preparation. I did read that I think it was Eisenberg wrote on 50 words or less, or whatever his article was, saying that Keith Williams is in charge of the backs and the tight ends, and that's going to be like his jump off, coordinating all of that. So decisiveness, I think, again, is much needed in shipping. I think it's needed in the pass pro aspect of things. I think it's needed in many, many ways. And J.K. Dobbins to me is someone who can make plays down the field. Gus Edwards sneakily made a couple, nice down the field plays at the end of last year as a receiver. And Justice Hill has always been a capable receiver. So, overall, that's the entire theme of the passing game is like, fucking do it. Like, get the ball out quicker and be on the same page, snap the ball out. And I think a lot of that has to do with Lamar as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins had some clunkers as well. Just really bad drops at times last season. So if he can clean that up, which he's looking like a freaking, peak era Odell Beckham out there in some of these highlights that we're seeing. Obviously, you don't want to put too much stock into that, but let's get a little bit of that from J.K. Dobbins, who is the best athlete in the running back room.
He's a freak, man. He's a freak. Mitch McGee, do you think? Do you think Prochet will make the team? Seems like he got the short end of the stick. We talked about that. Jake thinks Boykin. I think Prochet. Alex Meerman. Who are you guys most excited to watch in college football this year? DJ Ugalele. That's my boy.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens with Oklahoma and Rattler.
I hate Rattler.
Yeah, I'm not a huge college football guy, so I couldn't name a ton of guys, but I'm a big Lincoln Riley fan. So I'd be interested to see after, it was a little up and down last year. I'd be interested to see if Lincoln Riley could turn him into a respectable top prospect for whenever he's going to be eligible. I don't know if it will be this year or the year after, but it's a weird name, interesting, look on that guy. Obviously, the Ravens are not going to be in the market for a quarterback, but I'm always fascinated by the quarterbacks with college football.
Definitely. I love Chris Olave. I'm curious to see what happens with Ohio State's quarterback situation. Bijan Robinson.
I don't know why Olave didn't just come out.
The Ravens probably would have drafted him over Bateman, I think.
I was thinking he could have been right in the mix there.
I think I might like him more than Bateman, and I might have liked that fit even more than Bateman. And I fucking love Bateman. So that was very, and Garrett Wilson is going to get drafted. Apparently he's going to get drafted ahead of Olave. So interesting situation there for Ohio State. Their quarterback situation, they have an absolute badass coming in with a fucking mullet.
That little John Daly motherfucker with the
yes, him, and then they have many high recruit quarterbacks.
They got a kid in front of him. Yeah, that's interesting.
They got two in front of him.
He's got the Andre Agassi look going on. Reading his autobiography right now. By the way, highly recommend.
I'm sure that's great. But yeah, Bijan Robinson out of Texas, the back, he is incredible. Going to be a true sophomore, and excited to see what he can do as well. And then of course there's fucking, what is his name? Why can't I think of his name? The edge from Oregon. God damn it, Kayvon Thibodeau, is that his name? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He might be number 1 overall pick. We'll see whoever has the number 1 pick. I think it's going to be either him or Rattler. Very nice. Mitch McGee also said, is bringing in Ertz still a realistic possibility? I fucking hope not. I hate Zach Ertz. He's so slow. No, I hope not.
No.
Would you like to see Gurley sign for the veteran minimum? We already talked about that. B-Rose 931. Here we go. Do the Ravens just not care about having edges that can win one-on-one anymore? Obviously they do. I think Tyus Bowser is a little slept on. He just was asked to do a multitude of things. He can definitely beat tight ends. He can definitely beat tackles. He has nice speed to power. He has a nice rip move. He's agile. He can run the hula hoop a little bit. McPhee definitely can win one-on-one, and we'll see. Jalen, I really wish that there was a parallel universe where I could just pay $30 and just watch Jalen Ferguson get 1,500 snaps and see what happens.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He just intrigues me, is all I was going to say.
Yeah, he just wants to see more sacks. And Wink came out recently and said sacks are an overrated stat. So no, the answer is no, they don't.
And they want to get those fucking free rushes. That's what Wink has been so transparent about it. They want
interior pressure. It's, blitzing. It's doing,
they want free rushers. They want the offensive line to get fucking confused by their stunts, by their numbers, by where they're coming from, and get in the quarterback's face unblocked.
Like, it would be sick if they had prime Terrell Suggs, but like they don't.
And you can't, it's hard to get those guys unless you have a fucking top 10 draft pick.
Especially these days, quarterbacks get the ball out in 2 fucking seconds. Like, there's nothing you can do half the time.
Right.
So frustrating.
Very much so. So that's why they built the secondary back to front. That's why they built the defense back to front. And that's why Eric Eager and Ben Baldwin and all those guys love the Ravens, because as you just said, coverage has to be constant. Pass rush can be negated. And pass rush can help coverage, of course. But in my opinion, it just feels like when you've got those man corners that can press and force perfect throws, that is money. That is shmoney. And it worked really well. The Ravens only let up 2 offensive touchdowns in 2 games in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it just it breaks mine, and I would assume a lot of people's brains when they play the Chiefs and like Mahomes just drops back fucking 20 yards behind the line, and he's just standing there with his big goofy smile, and
I want to know what his I know the Chargers get to him, and of course they have Bosa and Ingram and a bunch of guys, but I feel like he doesn't get sacked that much.
No, he does. He never gets sacked, which was going to be my point there. Like, he just drops back and he stands there and he has all this time, and then if he doesn't,
he's fucking quick and fast,
he's great pocket movement, great footwork. He can throw it from any angle. It's like you can't sack that guy. And he's the guy you got to beat. So it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to invest all these resources into trying to acquire a guy who can get sacks, who's not going to be able to sack him anyway? Maybe not. I don't know. But that's just the way I'm looking at it. It's tough.
He's been sacked. Oh, wait, crap. Is that just last year? Yeah, that's just last year. So he was sacked 26 times last year on fucking 779 dropbacks. What? That is a very low sack rate.
And his offensive line just got better, too. Right. I mean, we'll see what happens with Kyle Long's injury, but they're looking pretty good.
23 sacks the year before on 659, so not quite as great, but that's still pretty good in 2019 and then 2018, I'm sure. 722 dropbacks, and he was sacked 34 times, so a little bit more that year. And the Ravens got pressure that year on him, so he's been tough to get to the last 2 years. Aside from, that Super Bowl, that's really it. And I think the Chargers sacked him 7 times, if I'm not mistaken, 7 times in one of their matchups, and he was only sacked 26 times. So not the Chargers in that one game. Aside from that, he's not, you're not getting him 4 times. He's really good at scrambling. He's a really, really, really slippery scrambler.
It's impossible. It's like, it's my sports talk radio take, I guess, but it's like you got to bring the guy down if you want to win. It's like when the keys to the beating Tom Brady. Oh, you got to sack Tom Brady 9 times. You got to sack Patrick Mahomes maybe 5. That's the amount you're going to get, and nobody even gets that. So it's like, what are you going to do against this guy?
He does those stutter steps. He's not fast, but he can decelerate and accelerate decently, and he'll sprint and then stop and then sprint again. And he's quick, man. He's fucking tough.
Got that big barrel chest and his head. He's just doing all these weird head fakes. And it's just what the
very unique movements, kind of like Tony Romo in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. He's the best of every quarterback we've ever seen. And you got to beat that guy and you can't sack him. So it's what are you going to do?
Exactly. John C. Amos, my boy, who's our biggest threat out in the AFC outside of KC? Do you think it's Buffalo, Cleveland, Tennessee? Cleveland's in your division, so that makes them very much a threat, but you do get 2 shots at them. The Ravens have had success against them. So, I mean, to me, it's between Buffalo and Cleveland.
I would say it's Buffalo because last year they kind of showed that they have the ability to be water a little bit, and they kind of just did what they had to do to win that game. With Cleveland, it just kind of, obviously you can kind of throw the first game out a little bit. The Ravens just dominated, but the other one, it just turned into a total track meet. And I just have a feeling that has potential to happen anytime those 2 teams meet now, which maybe that's just me being just looking at that most recent result and putting too much stonk into it. But I can see that. Tennessee, I'm a little concerned about Tennessee. Just a little concerned.
When I look at the Browns though, and when I look at the Bills, and when they've got Julio, they've got AJ Brown, they've got Derrick Henry. Yes, is that the most dangerous trio of skill players, yeah. Is Tannehill decent? Yeah. Tannehill's never really hurt the Ravens that badly, aside from that play action in the divisional round year before last. Like, he doesn't like fuck them up. And Baker's fucked the Ravens up at times, and Josh Allen kind of did last year. I don't know.
Yeah,
and defensively, they're by far the shittiest of the three.
Yeah, they're bad on defense. Tannehill's been really good the last couple of years. All credit to him for that. He's also had Arthur Smith the last couple of years, and he's had, and like maybe this is unfair because it was a long time ago, but he's had really talented offenses around him in Miami and not great coaching. And like he's been decent and gotten them to like 8 wins. And I'm not saying they're like going to be an 8-win team, but like I don't know if I see them as like.
I feel like Arthur Smith had more value than Mike Vrabel does.
Yeah, probably. And like that's not to discount Mike Vrabel. That's not to discount Ryan Tannehill. I think they're both capable, and they could like.
Well, they are kind of the opposite of the Browns. Like the Titans have the Ravens number a little bit. It was a hard ass game for them to win in this past postseason.
Yeah, by hook or by crook. Like it doesn't seem like they should, but they do, and like that's kind of how it worked out. But I don't know. Like I feel like everyone's like including them as a Super Bowl contender. I don't really see them as that right now, and maybe that's a little disrespectful, but actually it just feels like there are things that.
I mean, the Chargers the Chargers could be a fucking serious team. The Patriots, the Dolphins.
There's just some wheels that can come for the Titans.
The Colts was a fucking tough ass game too. Yeah, and Wentz is probably. I thought Wentz played like shit last year. He did light the Ravens up very strangely. I did quite a few games. He was a turnover machine, but that was just such a toxic situation with their offensive line and everything going on, and Philly just generally being toxic as it always is. Love it to death, but it is what it is. So I don't know. The Titans to me are in that category of them, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Chargers. And then to me, it's like the Ravens, the Bills, and the Browns. I'll even throw the Steelers into the subcategory below that, but then the Chiefs, of course, on top.
Yeah, it's there's going to be a tough conference.
It's a tough conference last year.
Yeah.
Garrett Bowman, who is your dream booth for a football broadcast? Fucking prime John Madden and current Chris Collinsworth.
You're talking 2 color guys there.
That's what I want. I just want color.
Okay.
Just color me.
Fair enough. Yeah, wow, fair enough. I'm gonna, dude, doing this series, like, this is obviously a local thing, but Chuck Thompson, like, to listen to him like call a full game, I've always wanted to do that, but now doing this thing like with the Colts, like, that guy was a fucking pro. Like, I'm surprised he didn't get like any sort of national
notoriety.
Yeah, like any sort of national career, because like I could listen to that guy like talk about anything. Like, his voice is great. He's total pro. So I've listened to Chuck Thompson in the in that sort of play-by-play role, and then color analysis. Him and Madden would be fun together. I caught a little bit of the end of Madden, and people shat on him for like being too obvious or whatever. John Madden's like,
he was fun. He was just fun.
He was fun, and like he's like a punchline or whatever. John Madden's a fucking legend. Like, he revolutionized the game in some ways with the Raiders. Like, great coach, and had some really good insight. So I like Madden a lot. They would maybe be my 2, and then I do a third color analysis, and I'm having Chris slide in there with them just to see what. Like, those are just like 3 dudes. Like, they'd be hanging out.
I mean, fucking Gruden was good too, man.
Gruden was I loved Gruden in the booth.
He was really good.
Yeah,
I looked forward to Monday Night Football, especially because of John Gruden when he was in the booth.
It was unfortunate that he didn't have chemistry with McDonough, because I thought McDonough, like, he's okay, he's like decent.
He was not bad, yeah.
But Tirico and Gruden together, that was like maybe the zenith of Monday Night Football for us.
For sure. That was great. So give us any combinations of, I have listened to the podcast. I don't think I've listened to as much Thompson as you, but he did do an outstanding job. He was just so concise and descriptive, and had such a fun vernacular.
Yeah, so it's getting into like the 70s now. I think this coming episode is going to be in the early 70s, and then like he's in a good amount of those sound bites. So you'll hear more of him as it goes along.
Exactly. So yeah, give us Collinsworth, give us Madden, give us Thompson, give us Gruden. And then who did I say for my? I didn't give one. I don't know.
You gotta like shout out the legs too. Like Al, great color or great.
Yeah, Al always is just consistent as hell.
Al's a legend. We got to shout out Uncle Brent, obviously. I mean,
Vance is good.
Vern Lundquist is he might be my all-time favorite just across all sports because he would do the college football. He's got some amazing golf highlights. He's got.
I love me some fucking Kirk Herbstreit and Reese Davis too.
Yeah, Reese is. I like Reese too. He kind of brings a nice laid back vibe to it, which I like.
Right,
and
he really like plays into the environment and the fandom, especially of college football and stuff, very well. And
yeah, you got to have a guy who like is able to have a little bit of fun with college football.
Yes, and Reese Davis absolutely does.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. We could do a whole podcast about.
Yes. More firing into my brain now, and the very last one on the list is Dan Fouts. So actually, he's the second to last, and Dan Orlovsky is the very last.
Oh, the last. Okay, I thought you were like listing him. I was like, oh shit. But
no. The 3,889 is Dan Orlovsky. 3,888 is Dan Fouts.
Yeah, tough scene.
Mega tough scene. King Jai. I think once you start expecting draft picks to be another player, you get disappointed. I like that. I like the fact that he submitted a thought that was kind of philosophical. I like that a lot. Do more of that.
Repeat it back to me.
I think once you start expecting, I'm going to fill this in for him a little bit to make it more of what I think he's saying. I think that once you start to expect your draft picks to become another player or similar to a previous player, you get disappointed.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. Like he's talking about making comparisons and how
like OA to so and so, Suggs or something.
It's a little it's definitely a little reductive. I get it, but it's also like it's just like the draft industrial complex as far as the media side of things goes is very rapid fire. It's very prospect, move to the next prospect. There's however many hundreds of guys. And like, in order to distill all of the info that you're putting out there, maybe it's just the packaging of how you're comparing them where, maybe a fan will see a comparison and say, oh, that's who that's going to be. Whereas maybe if you're presenting a comparison, say, if everything pans out this way, he's going to be this guy ideally, or this is one specific asset that this guy has that this guy also has. I think I tend to agree that comparisons are a little bit reductive, but it's also like there's not much of a better way that you can concisely give a fan who's just kind of tuning in to a podcast or whatever it is, just kind of casually. There's not much of a better way than you can project what a draft prospect is going to do, ideally with their career. So I think maybe it's
when you make those comparisons, there's style. They can be stylistic, like the motion that the player, the locomotive movements of the player reminds you of, or it can also be the role, or it can also be the production, the way that they are. Like that guy is a through and through great number 2 wide receiver. He's Eric Decker, like something like that.
Yeah, so I would say fan, analyst, whatever you are, if you're kind of struggling with comparisons and seeing them as a little bit reductive, like whether you're consuming some content or you're putting some content out there as far as like making comparisons, I would say just kind of go into it with your own mindset and know what you're talking about and what you're consuming and what the person is talking about. You're going to be less disappointed if you just develop nuanced opinions, and that's good advice for not only this but for life.
Absolutely. And I think if you're talking about like, oh, CJ Mosley is going to be the next Ray Lewis, or, Matt Elam is going to be the next, no one thought he was going to be Ed Reed, but like fucking Bernard Pollard, I don't know. Or Rashad Bateman's going to be the next Derek Mason or something. Like if you're talking about specifically to the Ravens, like I understand that like every player is different, and you also don't want to put that kind of pressure on someone, because there are Brashad Perrimans, there are Matt Elams, and sometimes it's not because of their work ethic, or it's not because of, their physical shortcomings. It's because of injury, or it's because of confidence being broken, or, just never catching rhythm. And that's the whole edginess, the dual-edged sword of it is that, so many players would probably work in a different scheme than they were drafted to. on a different team than they were drafted to. So many quarterbacks even probably would, have done really well. There is a perfect match somewhere for, I want to say, like 75% of quote unquote busts or guys who never make it. Like there is a perfect match between the 32 teams where they would be the best version of themselves somewhere. So that's the crapshoot of it. So I get it for sure. It is fun and it can get a little overdone. Patrick Queen last year, Lamar's like baby Ray, like whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're like, oh shit. And, maybe Lamar, knows he sees him every day, some, and then he struggles and you're like, shit. So yeah, you can be dangerous with that. But at the same time, like Jake said, if you're talking about player evaluations and things like that, it's a way of condensing your thoughts very quickly. It is the ultimate abbreviation of 3 paragraphs. Like, oh, Rashad Bateman, I compare him to Reggie Wayne.
And yeah, exactly. So in that sense, I would say like the draft in general, just like draft analysis, like I'm not saying don't have any expectations with a prospect, but just understand that it's all projection. Like it's literally all projection. There's no like, oh, this guy is going to be Reggie Wayne. It's, oh, this guy could be Reggie Wayne if he goes to the right team and things break right. Just understand.
Things go well if he plays up to, everything that he could.
And you
fills the potential.
And you hope that happens with every single player.
And it happens with 20% of players, 30% of players.
Yeah.
You have to know that. I think if you just say that, if you say, it's going to happen 20, 30% of the time, it's going to be, they'll be as good or better than the guy you're comparing them to. And then you understand.
But that's the fun of making the comparisons.
Exactly.
You hit on one and oh, brother.
Oh, brother. You love that guy for life. That's my Terry McLaurin. Ryan Barrett, 32. Does the signing of yet another veteran offensive lineman give any implications to trades? Maybe. They got a fucking like 4th round pick for Jermaine Illuminor or something. It was either a 4th or a 5th, I want to say. I feel like it was a 4th. So possible, Ben Powers, those guys, sure. I think it's just that they were very disappointed with their offensive line situation last year. Of course, Ronnie Stanley went down, but I think they were even more disappointed beyond that. And they're overcompensating to get it right. And they didn't want to have a bunch of rookies. They brought in Ben Cleveland. That dude does not feel like a rookie when you're watching him on tape, when you're watching the way he conducts himself, and you're watching the way he moves. He doesn't feel like a young, youthful, Tyree Phillips type. So they bring in Villanueva. They bring in Jawaun James. They bring in the guy you're referring to, and I can't even remember his name. Played 80-something games, played with like the Panthers.
Michael Schofield.
Yeah. So they want vets. They don't want to have to deal with learning curves. They don't want some shoddy situation occurring again with their offensive line. And they said that immediately. They were very disappointed by what happened in that Bills game and the right side of their offensive line and all of that good stuff. And to be honest, it really feels like, and it's always easy to say, and I hate saying this, but it really feels like if Ronnie Stanley played in that game, the Ravens have a pretty damn good shot to win. If they had Orlando Brown on the right side, Ronnie Stanley on the left side.
Yeah, I think just thinking of that game, like that first drive, they looked so freaking good. And if they had just been able to stick to that, just like kind of cheating the wind and keeping the ball on the ground, like that would have been really nice. And Ronnie Stanley certainly would have helped with that. But yeah, as far as the O-line goes, I don't know. I think they're going to kind of keep tinkering. I don't really see any trades in the offing. I do see Jawaun James just kind of as that future choice, basically, where he's just going to heal up and take over for Villanueva next year.
Right. And Sarah Ellison tweeted and said there was basically no dead money if they cut him next year. And I feel like, I don't know. I don't think that's been confirmed, but it was such a cheap move. And he's good. He's a first-round pick that played like a first-round pick. He's had durability problems, but he's a very, very technically and athletically sound pass protector. And in the Ravens scheme, they can elevate guys who are, above average, even mediocre run blockers, as long as you're kind of very knowledgeable to what your assignment is. And that's how he feels in the run game. Like he's not overpowering and devastating defensive fronts, but he's executing his assignments consistently. And if you do that in the Ravens run game, you do that with Lamar Jackson, you do that in Greg Roman's offense with all these backs and the legs that Lamar Jackson has, you're going to be your best self as a run blocker. That's what Alejandro Villanueva referred to many times. Our girl Angela Hester, part 1, Gurley aside, what will the snap percentage be among the Ravens running backs in 2021? Snap percentage feels like JK will probably get the most snaps, but I don't think he's going to like dominate Gus. I think JK will be involved in every game, and there might be a couple games where Gus is not very heavily involved. I think is what I want to say. I'm
not really a math guy, so it's kind of tough to like do percentages. I would say
she said she thought it was going to be JK 45%, Gus 34%, Justice 7%, and other the rest.
I was thinking JK 45%, and that was me kind of like what I said after that was me kind of trying to filibuster and like figure out what the other numbers look like. Yeah, exactly. But definitely got JK slightly edging out Gus. Those two kind of as a 1-2 punch, and then the rest of the way we'll see what happens with Justice Hill and or Todd Gurley.
She said 45 for JK. I think 45, 50% for him sounds good, and then 30, 35% for Gus, and then hopefully the rest is like Justice Hill, but there'll probably be a fourth involved to a 5 to 10% at the most. And to me, Gus is going to get those power situations, those third and fourth and shorts. He's going to get some goal line touches. So will JK, and there's got to be a hot hand aspect to it, of course, as well. Like I just remember JK being so mad when he was tearing the Titans up in the regular season, and he was pissed when he came off the field. So I think he's going to be pretty authoritative in demanding the football, but Gus, you just can't even he's just so. I love Gus Edwards to death.
He's a beast.
He is a beast. I am a Pierce. Seriously, is there a way to buy that Hollywood Brown headband? I think the Ravens have it in their shop online, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't you have one?
No, I've got the training camp ones.
Oh yeah, the
I just wrap those.
You jerry rigged that one into one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Ravens have them online. They might be sold out. I'm not sure. B-Rose 931. Your predictions for the first-time Pro Bowlers on offense and defense this year. So first-time Pro Bowlers on the Ravens. J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I want to go him for sure. On offense. Interesting. I
could see a Bradley Bozeman center, maybe.
I was going to say one of those interior linemen. Maybe Zeitler finds some form.
I'm not sure if I feel like he's made a Pro Bowl.
He probably has. Yeah, that was a dumb call.
I'm not positive on that, though. I feel like he's made like one or two.
Yeah. He had some really good years with Cleveland, though.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of them have.
Queen could make a Pro Bowl. He's going to get 100 tackles and probably 3 to 5 sacks and,
picks. Yeah, I mean, a lot like the thing with the Pro Bowl is you get like fan vote. So
that's what I'm saying. Like he'll have the tackles and people like him.
Yeah.
Ravens
Queen
fans like him.
Queen some do. Queen for sure.
And other than that, I mean, I don't think Tyus Bowser is going to have a Pro Bowl worthy year, but he won't make it to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a quiet guy.
He's very excited to see what he does.
He's been stepping out a little bit. Have you noticed this?
Yes.
Going to O's games and like taking pictures with fans and stuff at Chipotle.
Yeah. He's the guy now. He's the guy in that room.
Yeah, he is. I'm a fan.
I love it. I'm excited for Tyus Bowser. He seems like one of the nicest, most humble, sweet as pie, like Texas, the good kind of Texas, the southern kind of Texas, like the hospitality and manners kind of Texas. I'm a big Tyus Bowser fan as a person.
When Judon was just absolutely like spiraling in the offseason,
no comment. Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm sorry, you can't reach this number or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the number you've dialed cannot be completed.
Yeah, that got a fucking laugh out of me. I was like, all right, I love this kid.
Yes. Abodi A3. Floor and ceiling for wins this season. 0-17 and 17-0.
Yeah, 17-0, 0-17.
Floor, I want to say is like, I think the floor means Lamar gets hurt, and it's 7-10.
Yeah, 7-10 was what I was thinking.
And the ceiling is the roof.
I would say they can win. I'm going to go 14 wins with the extra game. I would say
14-3.
Yeah, I would say 13 in a normal
16.
Year. Yeah, but 14.
I like that. This is going to be an interesting year with this team because there wasn't some big turnover. Like, Judon and Ngakoue are gone, but the rest of the defense is there. and they reshuffled the offensive line and added, Bateman on offense. And that's it. Like, there's a very strong feeling of continuity in this team. And I think even Tom Brady was just like, had some quote or some big Instagram or something. Well, I say big Instagram. He's made an Instagram post and was saying like continuity is what leads to success in football. And the Ravens have had the coordinators. This is, year 3 of the coordinators and year 4 of Lamar, I guess 3.5, whatever you want to call it. Year 3 of him full-time, and Andrews and Stanley and Humphrey, all these cats. So there was a little reshuffling, but when you look at what happened between like 2018 and last year, very different rosters. Yeah. So this team is going to be tough. I think they're going to be consistent a little more so and very tough. So 7-10, I like 14-3 as well. The great Josh B. Who are the starting edges in your opinion? Starting, probably going to be, to start the season, Tybo and McPhee.
I'm going to go Tybo and Jason Owe. Odafe Owe.
Yeah, and I think Owe will end up playing a lot. Sounds like. The edge room is exciting. I'm excited for the edge room, and a lot of people are like freaking out about it, but it feels like the Ravens just use their outside linebackers a little differently than a lot of teams, kind of like the Patriots, kind of like the Dolphins, and they're actual kind of linebackers. And I'm excited for the matchups they're going to be able to create. They have a lot of different bodies in there between Ferguson, Bowser Hayes, Owe, and McPhee. So very, very interesting. Jason Woodbury, who will likely be the third running back to make the roster? Will it be Hill? I don't see them parting ways with Hill. I think they really like Hill as a special teamer and as a guy and a worker and as a running back.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think he, especially like, this isn't nothing to Harbaugh that in a Pittsburgh game, that Wednesday night game, I believe, when it was just the fucking dregs of the season and they're just at their, you talk about being down bad. The Ravens were down bad. And like, he's out there making plays with RG3 and just getting all sorts of fired up. Like, I think that's big for Harbaugh that like he didn't give up in that moment and like kind of go into the tank, which the entire team had every excuse to, and like they didn't and he didn't. I think Harbaugh likes that a lot. I think he's also proven himself as a player both on offense and on special teams that, it should be him.
I agree. I agree very much so. And he's returned. He's been a gunner. He worked his ass off in that Steelers COVID game, like you said, and all that good stuff. So I would like to see Justice Hill get, 50 plus touches this year for sure. 50, 60, 70, 80 touches. Like I want him to be involved a little bit, and I think he will be to an extent. So I was really excited about that draft pick, and it felt like he kind of fell off a little, especially last year. Going into the year, it was like, all right, they have Ingram and Dobbins and Edwards, and Hill survived that and ended up getting playing time. So, yeah, RB3.
He's Rasputin. He's just going to keep plugging away.
B-Rose 931 closes us out. Does Owe have the potential to become a Watt/Bosa type of franchise pass rusher? I don't think so. I think he could be like a pretty good pass rusher. I don't think he's going to be a J.J. Watt or a Joey Bosa. Those guys were fucking shit up at college. They were developed already. I mean, you can say he has the potential because of his athleticism and things, but again, I just think that the Ravens, you take a guy like that, you want him to be able to cover, you want him to be able to set the edge, you want him to be able to beat up on tight ends and get those hustle sacks, and that's kind of their formula. I don't see the consistent, dominant move from him like Joey Bosa's side scissors or J.J. Watt's just fucking everything. He doesn't quite have that feel. I think there's an innate feel to it. So could he be very good? Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to be a player. I think he's going to be used as a linebacker in ways, as a true outside linebacker, and have his moments. But we're going to see. And they're lauding his run defense. That was something that I liked on film as well. So I'm excited for Odafe Owe. He feels like someone who's ready to step into the light a little bit and wants to command some respect, and a guy who's relative newcomer to the game. So for being in the NFL at least. And yeah, but I don't see him being Joey Bosa.
Yeah, it's unfortunate this guy's in the news for like some of the wrong reasons recently, but I see him as like a Montez Sweat, like a 8 to 12 sacks kind of guy. which is perfect.
And he's an incredible athletic specimen, and he's tough against the run, and he gives certain guys really bad matchup problems. I like that comparison.
Which is great for a late first-round pick. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Sweat was a little more natural coming in, and I was fucking shocked that the Ravens didn't take him with that pick.
Might have been Hollywood. I would imagine.
So that's what I thought the pick was going to be. I was like, all right, yeah, that was the one. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, of course the Ravens, blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, so that was our last one. We appreciate you guys. Lots on edge rushers, lots on Todd Gurley, lots. And we're reaching that drudgy point. Thankfully, we've got the Forgotten Dynasty carrying us through. Hope you guys are loving that. Make sure to share that and share it with people that would love it, that might not be into the podcast game very much. If it's, some older folk, give them a little how-to, get into those podcasts and get them moving along. Jake's done a great job with that, and I'm really excited to hear the rest of the episodes. We'll be chopping it up. We're going to try and have some guests on to talk about teams that the Ravens will be playing over the next couple months. Teams they'll be playing in the regular season, particularly teams maybe that are outside the division and things. So we're going to try and get some more guests on you in the coming future and all that good stuff. But that was a great mailbag. Thank you guys very much.
Yep. Thank you. Absolutely. Keep checking out Forgotten Dynasty. Got episode 3 coming on Monday. As you alluded to, it's been really fun so far. Good reception from plenty of people. Just wanted to personally thank everyone who's reached out and let me know how much they're enjoying it, or how much their dad or whoever is enjoying it, or whoever is from that generation that is liking it a lot. It's great to hear, because it's a nerve-wracking thing putting out something like this. So to hear some positive reception over the first 2 weeks has been really nice. So let's keep that going if you're liking it. We do appreciate you guys shooting in the mailbag. It's been a while since we did one. I think it was good. It was therapeutic to hop in here, a little hour-and-a-half episode. Nice long one after the short one we had last week with Voss, but I think we're both kind of getting a little bit better after dealing with a little bit of sickness. So hopefully going to be by that, or done with that by next week. And we will talk to you guys next week. In the meantime, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. You can find the page Twitter, or the podcast Twitter account at Podcast Beatdown. You can find me at Jake Luke. That is LOUQUE. And Spencer is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's the number 4. And I also wanted to go ahead and keep reading some of these iTunes reviews. I think the more we read, the more people kind of post them. I've seen some of that in the reviews. So the first one coming from JJ Dino 52. Great stuff. Appreciate the content. Just finished Julio Talk and OTAs podcast, and also listened to Defending Lamar Jackson on the site. Haha, I was shocked the reviews were read. Avid reader of Beatdown, becoming more of a podcast listener this past season. I've listened to about 15 episodes of you guys, and the other Ravens podcast I enjoy is Film Study. Thanks again. Quite welcome. Relatable and fun. Great podcast. The way the hosts talk about the emotional roller coaster of being a Ravens fan brings me genuine joy and relief, knowing I'm not the only one who feels the constant up and downs. And then go Ravens, longtime listener here. I'm a Ravens fan in North Carolina, and I seriously look forward to hearing y'all every week. Keeps me connected to home in a really special way. Come for Jake's Collinsworth impression. Stay for the Dan Orlovsky roasts. Much love, Gil. Thank you, Gil. And I believe that catches us up. So thank you, everyone, for doing that. Go ahead and submit a 5-star review. Leave whatever you want in it, and I will probably go ahead and read it on the show for you here. So thanks for everyone who's left those. Thanks for everyone who listened today and continues to listen as we enter the dark days of the NFL calendar here. But that's not a bad thing. We're all going to disconnect a little bit, enjoy our summer, and it's going to be a great time. But in the meantime, you guys have yourselves a great weekend. Forgotten Dynasty on Monday, and then we will talk to you again next week.
See ya.
Peace.
Gorlami. Gorlami.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.